Hey kitty cats and kittens, my name is Erica. Welcome to my studio. Hello everybody, welcome back. We have a new tumbler video today. Now if this tumbler looks familiar, it's because I did a very similar one with a galaxy swirl for the boosters of my daughter's high school band. So this is actually for a booster's husband. I guess we can call him Mr. Booster. And he did not want glitter. He wanted something a little more subtle. So I went with mica powder. And I started out by spray painting this sort of swirl pattern in gold and navy blue. And I ended up buying this mica powder. I could not find navy blue mica powder to save my life. And this actually ended up looking sort of purple. You'll see later. It's as close as I could get though. And I am always aiming to do what the client wants. So had to go along with it. Now, the way that I put the mica powder on, and I'm clearly out of shot here, yay me, sorry, is I used Ailene's Tack. And what you do is you put a nice even coat and you let it dry. And once it dries, it turns clear, and that's how you know it's tacky. I was trying to figure out a way to make sure I kept the swirls where they were supposed to be. So I sort of did one swirl at a time, and it turned out okay, but it doesn't have that sort of nice blend between the colors that the spray paint does. There was not really a good way to do that, but I did my best. Now this mica powder was purchased on Amazon. It's Meyspring brand, and I of course will have that listed in the description. But again, it really is sort of pulling purple. You can see it here. It looks navy blue in the pot, but really it's sort of more purpley. I end up using mica powder in resin to do a swirl later on, and I do use a brighter blue, which does match my decals a bit better than this as well. So yeah, it's purple. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love purple, it's my favorite color, but that's really not what I was going for, and I don't think that is what Mr. Booster wanted either. I did my best though. This cup has taken me so long. I've hit roadblocks at every turn. It's one of those projects where it just never goes to plan. But hey, those are great learning experiences, right? I went a little ham with the mica powder on this one. And I just want to take a moment to thank all of my awesome subscribers. I am so thrilled to be over 350 subscribers now. So now I'm going in to do the gold, and again using the Tack method. I'm using a softer brush this time. I feel like that gave me a little bit better of a sort of soft edge to the swirl. When you're covering a tumbler with glitter, you have room for error, but with mica powder, there's literally no room for error. I do think it turned out pretty cute in the end. And of course, I am using my binding potion from Adhesive Apothecary. I'm telling you, this stuff will keep anything in place. I was really concerned about the mica powder repelling resin. I wasn't worried about it moving and traveling because it was really stuck to the Tack glue, but I did want to make sure that it didn't repel the resin. And it worked out. I covered it with a light coat of my glass coat from Mr. Nola's. And here I am applying my custom made UV DTF decal. So you'll probably recognize this if you saw my other video of the band tumblers for the boosters. And so I actually uploaded this and had it printed by 143 Vinyl. I had several different designs that I uploaded and had printed, and they turned out looking fantastic. So the thing about UV DTFs is once you put it on, it's on there. It's not moving. So you have to make sure you get it in the right spot, which is why I use that piece of painter's tape to kind of hinge it into the spot I wanted. And you do press it down really, really well, and then you can see you pull back the carrier sheet, and it is super sticky. It's very hard to pull off, but that's just the nature of the UV DTFs. Now here, if you can see around the B up there, this carrier sheet has left tacky adhesive on my tumbler where it is not supposed to be. This was a nightmare for me. I tried using alcohol. That basically just smeared it around. Then I tried acetone, and that didn't seem to do anything. So then I tried Goo Gone, which actually worked. It got it off quite well. But Goo Gone is very oily, so it left a residue. And I took an alcohol wipe and I cleaned that off. As it turns out, if you don't clean off the oil well enough, the resin will repel anyhow. That was a bunch of fun.
2,000 years later.
I think the key is to cut as closely around the decal itself as you can. That way you don't end up with a bunch of extra carrier sheet all around the decal itself. And you can see there the contrast between the blue and my navy blue and just how purple it looks. I really didn't like it at this point. It did not go together, and I thought, well, the only thing I can do is a mica powder swirl over it and some resin to try to fix it, and it does work, but I also managed to goof that up. And here I'm just cleaning off the rim of the cup. Don't want any extra epoxy up there, and I want to make sure I have a nice little exposed area for the next layer of resin to stick to. So here I'm doing my layer of resin for the mica powder swirl. You always want to put down a nice coat of resin first. Here I am, popping bubbles. So I'm using gold mica. Now you can see there, that's a blend I made myself of blue and black to make sort of navy blue mica. And I have this gorgeous gold glitter I'm going to do just a little sparkle with. I started my cup turner counterclockwise this time because I wanted to drag from left to right since I am right-handed, and it makes it so much easier to do it that way. I'm taking care to avoid the decals as much as possible. I do end up with a little bit of overlap. I wasn't too worried about that though. It turned out okay. And so far so good. This is looking fantastic. Well, I used my Art Cast epoxy from Designer Epoxy, which is fantastic for casting. It's meant for putting into molds. I was on autopilot and just ended up grabbing that epoxy because I had made so many holiday things with it.
Many months later.
I cannot even tell you. And it was looking pretty good, even though I had used the wrong epoxy. The problem with using the wrong epoxy is that this is not meant to coat a tumbler, and the bubbles were insane. I could not get rid of them no matter how much torching I did, no matter how much heat I used from the heat gun. And if you do too much heat on resin on a tumbler like this, it ends up wavy. So I really didn't know what to do. I was kind of alarmed because you can definitely see micro bubbles over things like the decals and the darker color. So I had the brilliant idea of spraying it with alcohol. That gets rid of bubbles, right? Yeah, that's me trying to fix my mistake. You see all those little dots there? That's from the alcohol. And I could not fix this to save my life. These divots were there and they would not leave no matter what I did. I was so bummed out by now because I had already run into so many roadblocks and I was so close to being done with this, and then this happened. I use my dotting tool. I use my finger. I do everything I can think of to try to fix this. In the end, I just had to let it cure like that. And then I had to sand the crap out of it to try to get rid of any of that stuff. And the thing is that these divots weren't only divots in the resin, they made little divots in the mica powder itself. So it got these like little holes in it. I was floored. I was speechless. That is a hard lesson I learned. I will never do that again. So there it is after I've sanded the crap out of it. And you can see all the low parts, all the divots. It was crazy. So I'm heating up my tumbler here because it's a little chilly, and trust me when I say that is not the Art Cast. You can see it over to the right. That is my glass coat from Mr. Nola's. And this is meant for tumblers. So I put a nice coat on this. I'm trying not to put too much because I don't want this tumbler to end up 65 pounds at this point. And I'm happy to say it looks okay now. And one thing I want to mention about those UV DTFs, I did not actually need to seal those in with resin. They would have been just fine. They're great for cars, water bottles, things like that. I just wanted to do a mica swirl, so I ended up sealing it in. And here she is, all done, in all of her mica powder glory. I really ended up liking this tumbler. It's very cool. I hope Mr. Booster likes it. It was quite the journey and a learning experience. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, my kitty cats and kittens, and I'll see you soon.